Okay, good evening. Welcome to the March 8th, 2021 Design Review Commission meeting. We'll start off with the invocation and then do a roll call. So if you can, bow your heads. Father God, we just come to you this evening. God, we just ask for your guidance and your wisdom over the discussions tonight. God, we pray that you would continue to protect and grow our community as you see fit. And thank you for all that you do for us. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Roll call, please.
Mayor Lamb.
Here.
Commissioner White.
Here.
Member Thurston.
Here.
Member Gray.
Here.
Member Gibbons.
Here. We have minutes from our previous meeting. Any comments, modifications, or a motion?
I'll move that we accept them.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay.
Commissioner White.
Yeah.
Member Thurston.
Yeah.
Yes.
Member Gibbons.
Yes. All right. Coming back to old business here. Case one with the Villages at Appleton staff. Hand it over to y'all.
Okay, so this is DRC case 2021-01 that we heard last month and requested modifications. This is the area overview. We gave you the full presentation last month. If we keep sliding to the elevations, those are the modifications that were requested or suggested by the committee and staff to meet the intent of the ordinance. As you can see here, the base is wrapped around to meet the heavy materials intent of the design standards. Additionally, the applicant has made modifications to the landscape screening around the trash receptacle that is going to be placed at the entrance of the development. Those are still some site photos from an existing project that is going to be very similar to what is being built here. These are just the material boards as we showed you last month. The only thing that we're still working on with the applicant is the lighting plan. As we've discussed last month, we requested some modifications to the wall units and the light levels. The applicant has gone at great lengths to avoid light pollution. They've done a great job with that. In the walkways and in the drive aisles, we have requested to up the light levels a little bit, just for security and quality of life of residents. The applicant is currently working on that, same with finding the appropriate wall units that meet our standards. The landscape design for the trash receptacle, we have requested to be included in the landscape plan just to verify that everything is good on that, other than the conditions of the lighting plan during the site and submittal.
Any questions, comments from members?
I know units.
It's 101 units. There were some two-bedroom duplexes added that you saw in the package. They all need heavy materials as well.
And I think the applicant's here, yeah. Well done on turning it around.
Yeah.
Just props to that. And thanks to staff for working with them and working through these details that we brought up last month. I don't want that to go unnoticed, so thank y'all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Are they still going to have the gravel versus?
They will, in between the units, all the public spaces will be sodded.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I move we accept plan.
We have a motion
Second.
and a Roll call, please.
Mayor Lamb,
Yay.
Commissioner White,
Yay.
Member Friesen,
Yay.
Member Gray,
Yes.
Yes. All right, thank you. Any new business or anything else for the Design Review Committee? All right, with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
All motion.
Motion and a second? I can move the gavel.
Okay, for those not familiar, we have several committees that can meet, and the first was the Design Review Commission for an old business case. The next committee to meet or commission to meet is the Collegedale Municipal Planning Commission, and it based on that tonight, which is the mandatory referral regarding the Little Debbie Park at the Commons, and we also, I believe, have some minutes, so we can go ahead and about our normal order of business. And then I'd like to explain a little more about this process before I hand this over to Wayne Hines, city engineer, to discuss the park plans.
I call to order our Collegedale Municipal Planning Commission. Roll call, please.
Mayor Lamb,
Yay.
Commissioner White,
Yay. Here.
Member Friesen,
There.
and Member Gray.
Here. And our next agenda item is to approve our minutes from our December meeting. And I'm ready to entertain a motion on that whenever you all are ready.
So move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Lamb,
Yay.
Commissioner White,
Yay. Yay.
Member Lehman,
Yes.
Member Moody,
Yes.
Member Givens,
Yes.
and Member Gray.
Yes. Okay, and as we move into new business, our case is MR 2021-01 Little Debbie Park, and I'll pass it first to staff to go over a little bit about our discussion here this evening.
Thank you. Just trying to get a better picture. Not yet. There we go. We'll just go to the webpage. The reason we're meeting on this item is Tennessee Code Annotated, that's basically state statute, so it's 13-4104. And these are called typically mandatory referrals in the Chattanooga Helms County Regional Planning Agency. We call them the same thing. By mandatory referral, there are certain items that are required to go through the Planning Commission before final approval by the elected body. So I'm not going to read you the state statute exactly. I just wanted to point your attention to it. Whenever the commission shall have adopted the plan of the municipality or part thereof, which we do have an adopted plan. And this where no street, park, or other public way, ground, place or space, public building structure, no public utility shall be constructed or authorized in the municipality until the location and extent have been submitted and approved by the planning commission. So that is you all. So with the park being the item on the agenda currently for discussion, this would also go apply to abandonments of certain rights of way or other city property. So we have done these before, and it's been a little bit. I think there's a piece there we accepted a right of way, and then we also abandoned a piece of right of way about 2 years ago. So these are not very common here, but they do occur, and I want to bring that to your attention before we go forward. That the main item on the agenda, or the only item on the agenda rather, is the proposed park for Little Debbie at the Commons. And with that out of the way, are there any questions from the commission? Okay, then I will move this over to, well, it's always easier said than done. This may take just a second, Wayne, so if you want to do a little brief intro.
We're going to go over the proposed donation of a park just south of the Commons.
Is it working now?
So we're going to review a proposed donation of a park just south of the Commons. We would be responsible for maintaining it, but the donor would give us the park completed. They're looking to start construction in April, probably late April as we get through this process.
A little bit longer than that, but if we're on radio, we have to fill up the airtime. So the process tonight would be to look at the extent, although this has been covered in the workshop to some degree, this is simply the other step. This is the same information generally, I believe, Wayne, that was presented in the workshop as a next of this. But this would be the official hearing by the planning commission to look at the details proposed and any questions that you might have, and we can entertain those as well.
Forgive me.
That's, there it goes.
All right. Awesome. Great. All right. So this is the Little Debbie Park at the Commons. Again, it will be on the property just south of the Commons. And the vision is a relaxed and natural area focusing on people rather than things. The goal of the park is not to be inundated with features, but more of a natural area. So general highlights. There'll be a mural in it, and 8 swing structures, benches, playground. Around the playground, bicycle racks, picnic tables, and then there will be back-in parking along Swinyer, and then we'll have a bridge over the creek to the city property on the east side of the creek, and that will expand that to be overflow parking. So this is an overview of the hardscape plan, the entirety of the park. You'll notice that as we go through this, it's broken up kind of in this 3-section grid, so you want to orient yourself there. There will be a playground in this general area. Up here, this is your large pavilion. This is one of your small pavilions, and these are your swings, and that sort of thing. You notice there are meandering sidewalks throughout the whole area. We have a small small detention pond here. We will have a large hill in this area. It's about, and then this knoll that loops around. The donor's vision is that once you're inside the park, that most of your hardscape created environment is obscured by natural topography or creative topography or plantings. So this is a close-up of the playground area and the larger pavilion. This is the area directly adjacent to the commons, with the etc. There will be some in this area that will tell the McKee Corporation in the area. There will be some small branded play features. This is the area adjacent to the creek. This is vision to be more of an open play area, and the small retention pond, the 2 connections to the existing greenway, and then the bridge across. So some grading highlights: the large hill, 32 feet, 2 knolls that are 3 or so feet tall, and then the 2 stormwater ponds. This is the overall grading plan. Again, this is your large hill. You have your small knoll in this area, small knoll in this area, and then this berm that works its way around and obscuring the view over there. So these are the highlights of the playground. I'll give you a second to read all of them. And then we can go through some renderings that will be typical of these features. They're not exact because they are renderings. So this is your playground area. Your balance being here, and then your various other playground features. Again, these are renderings of the features. Your sensory chairs, your roll-through wall and climbing apparatus. This is the zip line. The climbing apparatus. The footing for the playground area will be a mixture of engineered wood fiber and poured in place rubber. Some acorns to climb across, another climbing apparatus. Boulders. The following is the for the actual playground that it does meet the minimum ADA requirements. We have a letter from the company providing all of those play features that we do meet the federal code for ADA. So the branded items will be maintained by the corporation at their expense. The mural will be, they're in discussions with Allie K for a history montage. And there may possibly be a life-size little Debbie holding cake statue. That would have been when little Debbie was a child. So probably in the 3-foot-ish range. These are the branded features as you. Oatmeal cookies are 18 inches, and then the chocolate cupcakes 5 feet, the Christmas tree 6 feet, brownies 5. The benches for metaverse, 12 inches there. This is the initial iteration for the signage. They have not submitted a full sign review yet. We'll come through planning at a later date to ensure that it does meet all of the city's requirements. This is just initial. These are the storyboards telling the history of the area and the corporation. General navigation sign. All right, so the park will be heavily landscaped, 418 trees, 5,775 shrubs. We will qualify for an arboretum status and will be irrigated. So this is that southwestern quadrant here. This is the area of your large hill. As you can see, it's pretty densely planted. This is the shrub planting plan, which will be underneath all those trees. The area adjacent to the commons. As you can see, there's a double row of trees here. This is the sewer easement, so there won't be anything planted there. And this is fairly densely planted over here. In your shrubbery plan. This is the area to the east. Again, it'll be more of an open play area, so it's mainly sodded. The pond will have some shrubbery. That's about it. So this is the large pavilion. This is adjacent to the road, southwestern quadrant. As you can see, restrooms and picnic tables. The mural will be located on this wall here. Here's some elevations of it. It'll be similar to the commons in a heavy material timber style structure, slightly different as you can see in the way that they're doing some roof structures. And there's your mural. This is a close-up on the restrooms. Families restroom. Here's the small pavilions, which have just picnic tables, elevation of it. Again, similar to the commons, heavy timber, stone. Here's the swing structures, 2 swings. These will be steel bearing type swings, not chains. There's the side view of it. And that's it. So as Kelly was saying, these type of donations need to come to the planning commission for a recommendation before going to the city commission before they can be accepted. So I'll entertain any questions you have.
Wayne, you mentioned something about arboretum status. What does that mean?
So with the number and variety of trees we can apply for it to be classified as an arboretum by the state, we would need to placards for the trees, identifying them by species, and do some registration for doing that. Species.
It's 30 species for the level 1. I think it goes up to 40 or 50 for the level 2 and so on and forth. And it's a state designation that allows us to be listed in the statewide registry for Arboreta, which become travel destinations in a lot of other places.
So it doesn't add any additional responsibilities or other than marketing and those kinds of things?
You do have to maintain it, it's recertification.
Okay.
And we would have to maintain the park
Yeah,
as is.
I understand that part. I'm just curious about what being an arboretum would mean to us. Looks good to me.
What is the age range that the playground is designed for?
So preteen and early teen. Initially in design, we were thinking a little bit older, but as we got into design and the available options and the type of play that we were envisioning, it trended down just a hair. So I would say the little bit older than the existing playground we have, but not quite.
Give kind of a seamless,
It will be the post and beam and stone bases. It will not match exactly. It will be slightly different colors, slightly different posts and that sort of thing. But it won't be a super modern contract.
Wayne, because the mass majority of people are going to be commuting to here, I mean, because we're not completely connected by sidewalks for the population that actually probably comes and would entertain this facility, where are they going to park?
There's on-street parking. It's 88 spaces plus handicap that are being provided on street. And our parking regulations didn't give great guidance for parks. We didn't think about it at the time. So we followed the parks program guidelines for parks of this size.
now, would the pavilions be available to rent other city pavilions, or how would that work?
So the vision now is passive play, and so they would not be open for exclusive. It would be
Does our commission have any more questions or comments at this point?
Let me, hey Wayne, just let me be clear. So, because I didn't research the area. So we're making a recommendation to the city council for a mandatory referral for acceptance of, I'm assuming, is it accepting the property and the real improvements or just the real?
The property is already in our name, so the commission tonight would be making a recommendation to the commission to accept the improvements and the obligations that come with it.
And I'm assuming there's an operating or there's an agreement that'll follow that for the city to provide operation and maintenance. Okay.
Yes, that's laid out in the deed.
Okay.
And it is my understanding that the meeting is open to the public, so if anyone wants to speak.
Any other questions here before I open it to the public? Okay,
I suggest having a time of, if anybody wants to get up, that, there's 3 minutes and then that'll allow time for response from either staff or commission, as necessary
3 minutes total or 3 minutes per person?
per person. And
Per
if you,
person.
combine comments, that would be probably, or if you have, duplicate comments, then, we'll be glad to hear that. And into one, spokesperson, feel free to do that.
Members of our audience would like to speak to the project. Our microphone is right there. If you just get up and say your name and give us your address. And then again, you would have 3 minutes.
My name is Debbie Alden, and I live at 9421 Leland Drive up here in Greenbrier Cove. And just this is the first time I've seen it. So off the top of my head, I'm very concerned about the back end parking along Swinyard. Through from Ottawa Ringgold Road to turn at the stop sign and then head down Swinyard. And if people are backing into spots and pulling out, and I just see disaster. Also, that with the playground equipment being closer to the road than further away, I worried about that with the pavilion. Everything is closer to the parking. And then the cost of maintenance, the cost of those trees and bushes. While I love an arboretum, and Chattanooga has nothing of that sort here, I'm not sure that this is the appropriate place to have it. It just seems expensive for our small town to keep all those trees and the signage. And I'm hoping that Little Debbie is paying for all or whoever's the developer is paying for all the signage and all that stuff. And they're doing all the whatever the trees are going to be in the bushes. So those are my concerns right off the bat, as well as there's nothing for senior citizens since we have the assisted living facility, the independent apartments, and then all of Greenbrier Cove with our duplexes and independent houses. I mean, we can walk around the trails, it looks like, that go there, but I guess I was hoping for more pickleball courts, some things for adults and teenagers, the college students that actually live in Collegedale. So thank you.
Thank you.
You want me to try to respond to that?
Sure.
I'll let all the comments.
Okay, and then we'll take those all together. Okay. Okay.
Before Tracy speaks, what's the right of way width we have on Sawyer? Do we know what that is?
It's 50 feet now. They're doing extra right of way to include all of the improvements, up to 2 feet behind the sidewalks.
Okay.
I don't know the exact number.
Can you go put up the total site plan again? That might be helpful. Just like slide 2 or 3. There we go, thank you.
So can I make one observation real quick? Is that 45-degree back-end parking only?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
If you'll state your name and your address, please. Thank you.
Tracy Bennett Hoback, 5490 Briar Rose Drive, 37363. So Planning Commission, as you look at this, what I'd like for you to consider is the deed and how we obtained this property, how much it's going to cost. You haven't asked for a cost estimate, what it's going to cost our public works and our maintenance and our building people to maintain this. Parking is definitely an issue. It's already an issue. I've been playing pickleball every morning over here, and even in the mornings, we have no extra courts. We have nothing. 3 years ago, the city did an assessment. We partnered with UTC to do a public input and a survey that came back were even more than what Hamilton County got back. And nothing in this picture that you see was on the assessment and the input from the public. Nothing, zero. You've got wonderful land next to the Commons, which is a wonderful piece of property, and nothing in that park that the public asked for 3 years ago. And nothing's been done since then. So how do you know that 12,000 residents plus visitors, this is what they want? No one asked. Who in this room that's a resident has been asked if this is what you want in the first prime piece of property in the city? The playground, they said it was a preteen teen. Having been to the conferences, having known this property, I know the people who sell these playground equipment. This is not preteen or teens. Yes, they'll play on it because it's there. If you go to Hendersonville Parks and Recreation, Mary's Magical Playground, and look at what they have and see who plays, which is the same thing we have over here with Imagination Station. It's the same age range. So just something to think about. I think that was my 3 minutes. Thank you, Ruthie.
My name is Robert Gould, 9235. My concerns generally are starting off with pedestrian safety in this area. And my concerns are primarily with Garden Plaza and Greenbrier Cove. The number of people walking through this area, walking on the road is increasing. And the amount of traffic that may come into this area is a big concern, especially since a lot of people do not adhere to what a stop sign means. And that's the number one priority. The second was, and there's got to be a lot of cost behind maintaining all the shrubbery that they talked about in the proposal. And also the cost of personnel to work the park, et cetera. The third thing is the branding that Little Debbie brings to this has to have some control. I don't know if that's possible or if that's something that they're going to do regardless of what the commission or the council says. So those are my 3 concerns.
Thank you.
My name is Dan Palmer. I live at 4492 Forsythia Way. So I think I have more questions than I have anything else. I do want to understand that comments made concerning the parking. Does that mean indeed that Swinier is going to be widened?
Yes.
Thank you. Do we know how long construction will be and what would be the disruption to traffic flow coming and going? Obviously, I'm assuming there'd be some heavy equipment in at various times.
We're expecting construction to start late April and finish up in 5 to 6 months, so just.
Yeah, so certainly through the summertime, we could expect disruptions about traffic flow. Is that
Yes.
correct? Yeah. No way to somehow deal with those issues in a way that citizenry wouldn't be so negatively impacted as this apparently is. I suppose those who use the cut through, because of course it takes a long time to get through that red light, I guess, up there. I suppose they'll eventually get the idea and they'll go around. But then again, those of us who might need, because of our residents, to be getting in and out, that speaks to a whole different issue. What about safety concerns for indeed the centers up here? Ambulances are in and out of there quite frequently. What means of egress will they have as well? Those are the concerns that I have about if this is indeed, as is pointed out, if this is indeed the kind of thing that is important to have, then I'm all for it. However, it may well fall short of some of that standard. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Wayne, are the main travel lanes for the vehicles, are those being skinnied up in any way? Are they maintained at a public drive lane width?
Post-construction, there'll be a public travel lane with, during construction, we'll have to work with the contractor on traffic control to keep the road open as much as absolutely possible. We do not have any intention to actually close the road, but I'm sure times that due to the work we have to do or damage created by the heavy haul trucks, that'll be plated here or flagged there while we're doing construction.
But post-construction, the actual travel lane is not going to be any smaller than it is today.
It'll be standard travel lanes.
Okay.
And we have adequate sidewalks on.
Investment number that the donor has given into this park and into the city,
That has not been shared.
but substantial in the millions, I would guess,
I would expect it to be well into the millions.
that we ourselves couldn't build on our own, I would assume. Now, what happens if no park is built here?
The deed restriction says that a park will be built here by 2025. We would be responsible for building it. Just
So-
the approval of the donor, and so I would expect the park to be very similar to what is shown today.
But that would be at the cost of the city, not the donor.
Correct.
And then what happens if no park is built by 2025?
Then the donor would have the option to file suit against the city in civil court.
And then if it goes back at some, or would we still be ordered to, possibly be ordered to build it?
That'd be a convoluted legal situation that I could guess out of the plan. It would get very tricky.
So the deed is very binding at this point.
Yes, the deed is very.
I think it's a great investment in the sense of the fact that we're not going to pay for building it. Otherwise we would. So I also like the vision of an open park area. I think it just adds more greenway space and walking areas, and arboretums are always nice destination maps for driving economic development and things like that. So I think it's a good idea given the circumstances that we're facing.
I just want to make sure we've reached everybody in the audience who wanted to speak. Yeah, can you come up to the microphone, please, and state your name and address?
Can you hear me okay? I'm Commissioner Debbie Baker. I live at 5309 High Street in Robinson Farms. One thing I wanted to ask, I didn't hear addressed here tonight, and I just wanted some enlightenment. It was my understanding, maybe I just heard it from some reliable sources, that the McKees were in the process, they haven't confirmed, but going on about they will maintain the brand name things and help with the maintenance that we would handle with the, they're purchasing everything, but we would help with the upkeep. And it's my understanding that the upkeep would not be that much of keeping the plants compared to what they're willing to do. We would just do basic maintenance. Is that my understanding?
The branded merchandise, they have submitted an agreement to maintain it. It will come to the commission with not only the acceptance of the park and the gas agreement. So they have committed to maintaining all of the branded items. We would be responsible for everything else.
Just more generic that we would be responsible for anyway.
Correct.
Okay.
The level, how we define significant is different with each person.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll address that in the commission meeting when we get more information. I just wanted to, I didn't hear anything said about that, and we were worried about the cost. And that was a concern of mine, about having to make.
Paving plan, are those heavy maintenance type planning and,
So,
I mean, or are they dependent on our irrigation, dependent on?
after they're established, the maintenance will go down. We will have to deal with leaves and mulching and those sorts of. We are working diligently to drive those costs in partnership with College of Tomorrow Foundation. Initial estimates to maintain the park in-house were just shy of $150,000. We have a budgetary estimate of, I think, $115,000 partnering with College of Tomorrow Foundation going on. Once the plants are, the watering demands will go down and that sort of thing. We've worked with the donor and they're going to put in their contract documents to extend the plant warranty for 2 years, which gets us significantly past the initial transplant shop, which will drive down those initial maintenance costs. Because, this the initial planting in year 1 and year 2 that you have a high death rate. So those would be warranted to drive those numbers down. But it's a very large park, very plantings, and it will take time and add up. Just emptying garbage cans and maintaining all the structures and swings and picking up grass and seeding and fertilizing, etc. Is there anything else from the community?
Owen Cook, 9284 Leland Drive. This is just, my opinion. I know it's a done deal. But, regarding the playground, it's certainly been nice if it had been tied on Imagination Station. Playground up there in the corner. And I kind of hate to be mean, but, these little Debbie figurines to me are going to look tactful. So that's just my opinion. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Okay, any final comments? Okay,
The notes I have.
thank you.
The donor was very specific that they didn't want to have a large parking lot. And so to meet the parking demands, we decided on-street was the way to achieve that. We went with back-in because it's safer than angled pull-in parking. Parallel parking, we could not get the numbers anywhere near what we needed. So yes, back-in on the street will interfere with it being a thoroughfare. It is a low speed area, and the additional vacuum parking should drive down to 85th percentile speed, which would then improve pedestrian safety and those sorts of things. We discussed the maintenance. The playground equipment was more in line with the donor's vision, rather than things for a significantly different age group. The deed does allow, with the agreement of a representative from the donor and a representative from the city, which would be the city manager, for the addition or subtraction of equipment, but both would have to agree for anything to be added or removed. The same thing would be similar for the control of branding items. Both would need to agree to add or remove. The donor did not envision pickleball courts, so we're thinking more open play, pickup games and sports and that sort of thing, just like they did not envision bouncy houses or blow-up things or hot air balloons or things of that nature. Again, their vision was for a more open space and natural calming environment. Tracy is correct. The park did not follow the public assessment. It really was based upon the donor's vision, as they were the ones donating the gift. So they had a strong input in that.
On that note, this property was not city property prior to the idea of this park, correct?
Correct.
So us receiving the park and is all at the mercy of the transaction and then we're benefiting from that transaction.
So I became involved after the city had accepted the gift, and the stipulations that we talked about before. And so, yes, we are benefiting from the gift, and going through that.
But prior to the property being purchased by a donor and given to the city had no control necessarily over what happened there, correct?
Correct. It could have been anything else that met zoning, could have been fully developed. It could have been a playground that, what's it zoned? MUTC, so it could have been an
Apartment,
town center,
Just mixed use, yeah.
with condos. All of those things were on the table because the city did not control it at that time.
So we're kind of bound by private property transaction laws and things like that at the initial point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pedestrian safety, the park will have extensive sidewalk networks. We talked about the backing parking, those slower speeds. We are striping additional crosswalks to join those. We do have it on maintenance plan to go ahead and stripe some of the additional the crossings in the neighborhood directly south of this subdivision as part of our ADA program anyhow. We talked about branding controls. And the safety concerns and the traffic control will be like we talked about. There will be times of flaggers, but the intention is not to close the road at any time that we can avoid it. And there will be other options. We're not going to close Swindler and Leland at the same time. Leland will remain open throughout construction to give access for emergency vehicles.
And by we, you're referring to the contractor that would be hired by the donor.
Yes. We, the city, will work with the contractor through our normal processes of right-of-way to maintain safe access to the subdivision.
One more question, if I may. We're talking about accessibility. Where else is the accessibility for those that are wheelchair bound and so forth that's in this map?
So,
Because I know about the crosswalks, and I know that 5% has to go towards meeting the needs of people with disabilities. Where exactly is that going other than sidewalks and ramps? I mean, where are they going?
so the playground equipment has the wheel-through thing. There are the speak into flowers that go over. There are texture toys. Correct. There's a xylophone thing. You have to forgive me, I'm not an expert on
What about upper
playground.
body strength?
I'm not sure, honestly. We do have a letter from the playground equipment manufacturer that would meet ADA.
Yeah.
You could probably always have more.
I was just wondering what was being put in, because I understand fully, because we have that out here on Imagination Station, and I was involved in that planning. But I like to look at like visual art. Also, or I like to see, would have liked to see some equipment for, because I'm a senior citizen, more to walk on and to participate in through the walk, because I know it's a natural, and I'm all for the natural concept. I just would have liked to see more, and the people that are developing are fully much aware of what I would like to see. But I was just concerned, as the plans were right now, what was accessible for those with multi-challenges, so, of all ages, because it's for all ages. Thank you.
Wayne, is there a lighting plan attached to this?
So there will be on and there will be lights at the main pavilion that will go off at night, but the park itself will not be lit.
Okay. So we wouldn't have bollards like we have on the walk?
There would not be any lit bollards.
So one activity we haven't talked about with all this wildlife there, definitely bird watching, I would think is a great activity for people of all ages. And looking at the retention ponds in there, are those built in a way that, birds and other animals are really going to enjoy that habitat there?
They are not retention ponds, they're detention ponds that won't hold water. They're only about 2 feet-ish. But there will be They are going to function for water quality and have a longer drawdown, so the bushes and that sort of thing will remain wet for 72 hours or so in the smaller storm events. But they won't be bird baths. Did I miss anybody's questions?
I made a list here and I feel like you have addressed those. Are there further comments from the commission or do we have questions?
Are we gonna work up like an estimated maintenance cost? Or are we gonna try to figure out what that means to the city?
We did, that was just shy of 150.
Okay, that's what the 150 was, okay.
115 partnering with the college tomorrow. The number will track down over time. And what we expect will happen is it'll track down over time and you'll have a year of larger expense like when we rebuilt the Imagination Station, and it'll track back down over time.
And with those maintenance costs, is that something that the city budget can absorb, or are we looking at a tax increase for citizens, or how will that be
No,
covered?
no tax increase.
Okay.
Not just for the park.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think I'm ready to entertain a motion.
I just would like to add one thing about parking. There's been discussion over the years that if this park goes in, or the months, I should say, with this park going in, it takes up a lot of parking space that normally is used that we have here in the city. The property across the creek that is along Goodwall Ringo Road, there's been discussions of that becoming parking area for events that are being held, and the bridge across the creek would connect this and the commons to that parking area once the city does that.
So is the city responsible for that additional parking?
We would be, yes, that I'm aware of right now.
Deed that land?
No.
Does the city always?
Yes.
Thanks for thinking of that detail. That's important when we come to all the 4th of Julys and all the other big events.
How does the back end parking affect, I noticed you were putting back end parking on the other side of Swing Yard. Property that was going to be town row houses, and then it was gonna be, commercial down below and apartments up above. By cutting land, does that affect that property there? Because somebody else owns that property.
They are working with the donor to give that additional property to the city. Due to the zoning, there is a zero front yard setback, I believe.
Correct, that can go down to a 0.
But there's an existing electrical easement for 10 feet, which is the amount that they're donating, so it will not affect what they're able to get. It may affect their layout and what they want, but they're not donating any buildable area.
Has the donor been provided, Tracy brought up some of the feedback from the community. Has the donor been provided for consideration?
We've worked with the donor for 18 months to 2 years. And they initially wanted no restrooms or anything. So we worked with them to get to where we are today. They had a pretty specific vision in mind for the gift that they wanted to give to the city. And this is where the common ground was found.
So our job now is to make a recommendation or not to the.
Correct. Y'all would make
The commission may choose to do not accept or do not agree, then state law here shall communicate its reasons with the elected body of these bodies. So if you want it, that would be part of your recommendation to the Board of Commissioners, who still has the ultimate, just like a zoning case, it would have the ultimate approval authority.
And just for clarifying, if we turn down this plan, the city is now on the hook for several $1 million project to meet the deed requirements that was agreed to years ago.
If the Board of Commissioners
Right.
were to turn, that is correct.
Which would require a tax increase at that point, unfortunately.
Just to be sure, does this come from are you giving us a recommendation from staff, or is this all on us relative to deliberate on the information you've given us?
We do not have specific recommendation to the commission, other than providing the analysis that Wayne has given you. Basically, it would be your decision, independently tonight.
Okay, fair enough, thank you.
Move to accept.
I second.
Okay. Any remaining discussion before we vote? Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Lamb,
Abstain.
Commissioner White,
Yay.
Member Friesen,
Yes.
Member Lehman,
Yes.
Member Moody,
Yes.
Member Givens,
Yes.
Member Gray.
Yes. And that concludes our agenda for this evening, unless staff has anything further.
Staff doesn't have anything further for the planning commission. The proceedings here tonight and the comments will be provided in the summary to the Board of Commissioners, along with the presentation for consideration for approval.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, and we are adjourned. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Yes, thank you all.
Todd,
Yes, ma'am.
can I talk to you?